Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be reviewing, swatching and testing out the Under My Skin Miss Fame palette. So I was really curious about this palette. I did receive it, this is what it looks like. It's got a little sleeve that I'm going to take off now. There you go. So yeah, I ended up receiving this palette in my Beautylish lucky bag for 2020. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, I'll link the video up top now for you to check out. But yeah, I ended up receiving this palette in that lucky bag, and I was really quite taken aback by it. This is not the kind of palette that I would normally go and purchase myself. So straight off, just having a look at this aesthetically, absolutely stunning. You know, the way that this palette has been thought out in the way of the design is absolutely beautiful. It's extremely pleasing to look at. You've got Miss Fame going down the spine there, and of course her beautiful face on the front, and the palette name Under My Skin. So I'm really enjoying the design of this. I think the way it looks is just beautiful and really well thought out. The other thing I will say is it's like, you know, it's decent, like it's pretty thick and fairly decent size, and it's very weighty. It's actually quite heavy. So again, that screams luxury to me, like honestly, when I think about those points. Also, just looking at the detail over here, like the way that it closes, it's been well thought out is all I'm saying for now. So opening this up, of course, we have the protector, so we're just gonna get rid of that. You do have a lovely size mirror. There's my camera. But yeah, you do have a really nice size mirror on the inside of this palette. And then of course, this is what I'm just gonna try. All right, now I've got that mirror out the way. This is what the actual palette looks like. So as you can see, basically every single shade has glitter running through it, some form of glitter, whether it be a metallic, whether it be a shimmer, a sequin finish, or a straight out glitter. It literally all has some form of glittery finish to it. So really not my fave, to be honest with you. That's straight up. I prefer a palette that at least has a few matte shades in it, to be perfectly honest with you. The other reason why I wasn't necessarily thrilled with this palette was just looking at it initially, was because it's very cool tone. And as we all know, I'm not a cool tone girl. So yeah, they were my initial thoughts on the palette and my initial, I guess, concerns. But I feel like my mind progressively changed as I was playing with this palette, as you'll see when I create this look. But yeah, let's go ahead and swatch these shades for you so you can see how they swatch. Okay guys, so starting with the top row, and we have Norgasm, which is this matte black with this really, it is a beautiful, what would you say, purple slash burgundy sort of shimmer running through it. Then we've got Mauve Mentum, which is this shade here. They do swatch a little bit chalky, which is interesting, but anyway, that's Mauve Mentum. Then from there, we've got Astral Play, which is really like, I don't know, this is very lackluster. That's not going on any base either, so do keep that in mind. This is Orangey, which of course I have over my lid at the moment. The last one from the top row is Bluephoria, which is this beautiful shade here. Now it's actually quite a sheer blue, but I feel like you could definitely use that as a beautiful topper shade. Okay, so starting with the bottom row, we've got Orgasm, which is this lovely duochrome shade that I've got happening in my inner corner right now. Then we have Torptation, which is, again, is a really unusual shade. Doesn't necessarily swatch great, but I feel like you could build that up. Very glittery. So it's got like a mauve purple undertone to it with this sort of like green glitter happening on top. It's quite pretty. Then we have Skintimacy, which I've got on my outer corner. And then finally from the bottom row, we have Cosmic Crush. That looks like a really beautiful shade. And this one here is a Wanderlust. So again, for me, looking at these swatches, they are definitely very lackluster, but swatches don't necessarily depict how a palette performs. But yeah, just looking at the swatches, you know, not necessarily the best I've ever seen in my life. definitely some concerns, but yeah, what can I say? They're all the swatches for you guys. So yeah guys, they are the swatches. I don't know, some of them swatch beautifully, others really don't swatch well at all. Again, more of the reason why I had some concerns in you know, using this palette and seeing what I could come up with. But again, as I said, spoiler, I am happy with the overall look. So let's go ahead now and get straight into the tutorial portion of this video so I can show you guys exactly how I was able to come up with this look. Okay guys, so as you can see, I've got a lot of bait going on because I have no idea how this palette is going to perform. Now, look, we know that these are not really my type of colors. It's interesting to see how a few of these are actually showing on camera versus how they look in person. But what I've decided that I'm going to do is, rather than attempt to create a look using a few of these shadows, it's just not going to work for me. I know it won't work for me. Basically every single one of these is either a metallic or has some kind of glitter running through them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use it how I would normally use a palette like this, and that is basically pick one or two colors out of this palette and blend it with something, like with another palette pretty much, and create a wearable look using it. So yes, I hope you guys aren't too disappointed with my take on this and with how I'm gonna create a look, but I think ultimately it'll come out pretty good. And the main star, I think, is going to be this shade here, Orangey. So to start off with, what I'm gonna do is grab my Morphe 3503 palette, and this is the real, you guys would have seen me do a video on this. If you haven't, I'll link it up top now for you to check out. But this is the really orangey warm tone palette. I love this palette, it's so beautiful. So I'm gonna pull a couple of matte shades from here and then we'll get into the Under My Skin palette. Okay, so to start off with, we're gonna be taking this shade right here, which is called Ball of Fire. Just taking that on a fluffy brush. This one here is by Morphe and it's the Jeffree Star Morphe collab. Where is my mirror? Just gonna tap off any excess. Ooh, look at that dusty. And on my eyelids at the moment, I do have the P. Louise base number 2. So yeah, we'll see how it all goes. Just gonna start taking that quite vigorously straight into my crease and just running that back and forth. Okay, so to buff that out further, what I'm going to do now is take Consume and Flame Game, and I'm just going to sort of mix these two together, really just to buff this orange out. It is showing up more, I feel like more of a red color on camera, but yeah, so I kind of want to make it a little bit, you know, bring the orange into it. So taking Flame Game to start with, this is such a dusty color, so definitely tap off any excess. And yeah, we're just gonna really start to blend that through and try and really emphasize that orange. I'm also gonna start bringing it in as well into my inner corner, just light, very lightly. You don't need to be very heavy-handed with this because you just want a wash of color, I feel, in that section. And just moving everything upwards. Okay, so once you're done blending those orange shades together, we're going to jump into the Miss Fame palette now, and we're going to be taking Skimtimacy, this shade right here. As you can see, it's got a lot of glitter happening in it, but it does also have a really beautiful rich brown matte shade underneath, and that's what I really want to try and bring out. So I think what I'm going to do is take it on just a flat brush. This is a Morphe M522 brush. From what I can see, it packs on the brush pretty well. It is fairly dusty, so there is a bit of kickback in the pan, but you know, nothing too crazy. Again, I'm just going to tap off any excess. And yeah, let's just start to apply this. I'm going to concentrate it on our outer corner, just starting it on the lid first, and literally just tapping it into place. Alright, I'm just going to take a very clean big fluffy brush. Again, this is just by Morphe, and I'm just gonna start to buff that shade in with the rest of the shadows. It's an interesting shade. Like, can you see how it's sort of, it definitely grabs, and I don't know whether that's because of the P. Louise base that I laid down, or whether that's just the way that the shadow applies when it first is laid down. I'm not too sure, but I'm just going to take a little bit more and just pack that along the lower lash line. What am I saying? Pack that along the lash line. Don't have a great deal of lid space left, so I've just got to be really conservative here. Okay, so far, not bad. What I'm going to do now is grab some of this beautiful orangey shade. This is probably my favorite shade out of the entire palette. I love a good orange. Like, that is such a pretty color. So I'm just going to first apply it with my finger and see how that goes. Oh, wow. That's so nice. I'm really happy with how that applied. Now I'm just going to grab, this is a clean Morphe M522 brush again. Just going to take a little bit of this orangey shade on the brush. Again, just to see how it goes on a brush. And I'm just going to take it a little bit more into my inner corner and bring it up. Okay, so far I'm really enjoying how this is looking. I feel like it's a very fiery look. I'm really impressed with it. I do want to add a little bit of liner, and I'm going to actually add some brown liner. This one here is by Benefit. It's the only brown liner I currently have in my collection right now, and it's not overly my favorite. I'm not going to wing it out or anything like that. I just want to sort of define the lash line. So yeah, just going to take a little bit across. I find with this liner, it's really grabby, and it's not the easiest for me to work with just because of my eye shape. Okay guys, I'm gonna wipe this bake off and clean up the sides, finish the rest of my face makeup, come back and smoke the lower lash line out and pop on a lash with you guys. And we're back. Okay, so let's keep going with this look. So now what I want to do, I think I'm going to continue to go in with Skintimacy with this one right here. And I'm just going to take that on a Scott Barnes brush. This is the 662 brush. And really only concentrating a little bit of that on the end. And I'm just going to start to apply this in my lower lash line. See, so easy to blend in. That took me like literally 2 seconds. Okay, so now I want to make our inner corner pop, and to do that we're going to of course go in with this shade right here, which is called Orgasm. And I swear that's just not like, that's how it's pronounced. That's how it's spelt, that it's pronounced anyway. And so I'm just going to grab, again, this is just, you know, a basic fluffy brush. I think this just came out of an Urban Decay palette, something like that. Actually, do I want to do more of a detailed brush? I feel that I do. I'm actually going to go ahead and take this one here. This is by Marc Jacobs. This is the smudge brush. It's just a really small detailed brush that you can of course use for smudging, as it would suggest, or in my case, applying highlight to the inner corner. So let's just go ahead and take this is really chunky, so I'm quite like, yeah, I'm nervous to use this shade because it is quite a chunky looking shade. But anyway, nevertheless, into the inner corner it goes. Can you guys see the shift? It's a really lovely duochrome. It does have a lot of pink running through it, but that is such a pretty color. And I feel like on top of the orange shade, that really complements it. Now, if you guys can hear that noise in the background, that is my dog snoring, just FYI, if anyone was wondering. Good times. Okay, so let's go ahead and just quickly chuck with some mascara on, and I think, of course, this look needs a lash, it needs a dramatic lash, so that's what we're going to be doing today. For mascara, I'm just using, this one here is by Stila, and I think this is just like their classic mascara. I got it as like a little travel size tester in one of my Mecca Beauty Loop boxes. So what is this called? This is called Stila Huge Extreme Lash Mascara. I don't mind it. It's a little bit on the chunky side, but you know, it's nice. It does the job. Okay, so for lashes today, I'm going to use these ones here. These are by Kiss Cosmetics and they are called Grandeur. I feel like they are very dramatic and very appropriate for the look that we've got on, happening today. Does anybody else like say a little prayer before they put a lash on? Whew. Okay guys, so here we are with the final look. The lash is on, she's applied. I'm feeling good. I'm actually feeling really good about how this look turned out. I was pleasantly surprised. I do think the quality of the shadows that I used was really good. Like, they performed quite well. Look, I can still see a little bit of, not like, can you see what I'm saying? I just feel like it's quite, it grabs, and I don't know whether that's because of the base that I laid down. It could be the P. Louise base. I have had some shadows in the past have a tendency just to like grab to a certain area and basically not want to budge. So maybe it was that, but overall I didn't have too much trouble blending out, what shade was that called? Skin Intimacy. I didn't have too much of a hard time blending that shade out. And I also found the orange shade to, you know, apply really beautifully to the lid, and I think as a collective, I think it looks really nice. I am really pleased with the fact that I just decided to pick up my Morphe palette and use a couple of the matte orange shades to really create this look, because I feel like if I hadn't have done that, I probably would be really hating on this palette, to be honest with you. So I'm really happy that I decided just to use a couple of shades at the end of the day and, you know, just use it with the other palettes that I have in my collection. And to be honest, I think for most people who do go ahead and buy this palette, that's probably what you'll end up doing, because I just don't necessarily believe, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, I just don't believe that a palette full of shimmers and glitters and, you know, like metallic formulas and sequin formulas, whilst it's extremely pretty, don't get me wrong, it's very nice to look. Get that hair out of my mouth. There we go. Whilst it's all very well and good and beautiful to look at, using it as a collective is just not really, it's just not realistic in my opinion. So yeah, happy that I decided to blend it with some other shadows and make it work, because I'm really happy with how this look came out, and I can now actually see myself reaching for this palette more. In the very beginning, when I very first received it, I looked at this and I thought, you know what, I would never have bought this for myself. It does run quite cool tone, which we all know I'm not a cool tone girl, and like, trust me, to come up with a really warm color, like a warm tone look using a palette like this, like literally trust me. But you know what I'm like, I will make it work. But yeah, look, honestly, now I can sort of see myself reaching for this a little bit more and playing with a couple more of the shades in here and seeing what I can come up with. So yeah, overall, I'm actually really happy with the palette. So let me guys, I always say that now. What is wrong with me? Let me know what you guys think about this palette down in the comment section down below. Do you have it? Are you thinking about purchasing it? If so, what's your experience been with the palette? And if you haven't purchased it, why are you thinking about purchasing it? What is it about this palette that draws you in? I'd love to hear from you guys. As always, thank you so much for watching my videos and subscribing. I really do appreciate your love and support on this channel. And as always, guys, I will see you all on the next one. Mwah. Bye, guys.